Good evening, YouTube. This is Kaylin Stern coming at you with my regular Sunday night dinner. And this is the second time it's happened where the YouTube app is not capturing a thumbnail and it's just showing my profile picture. Or is it used to actually capture a thumbnail of what was below the lens? So I don't know what's up with that. But as you can see, it is a vegetarian menu 11 from 2019, packed by MRE. Let's see, we got this and that with Matt. Got Cliff is here. I don't know if there's some setting. Another thing is different. It asks you to indicate your camera orientation, or it gives you the chance to either have vertical or what would be called portrait mode, or horizontal or landscape mode. And because I want to show the entire tray, I obviously choose the horizontal. So I don't know what's up with that. There is infos in the house. So again, I am not sure why it is no longer capturing thumbnails. Again, since this is MRE, you're always going to get this double pack, and this seems fairly tight. So here is the entree. You can see the indentation of what was underneath it. This sleeve has ingredients and all the nutritional stuff. And all this stuff on the other side. So that the regular flavor is applesauce. With maltodextrin. And the accessory packet came out with it. Apple cinnamon first strike bar. Jalapeno flavored cashews. And the standard crackers. Chunky peanut butter. Then the French vanilla cappuccino powder in the shaker bag. Got the usual spoon chili lime hot sauce, flameless ration heater, no beverage bag, and the accessory pack is kind of slim. There's no coffee in here because of the cappuccino. This drink packet in the stick form, raspberry type 3, sugar free. I get salt, cinnamon gum. I always tell the cinnamon because one half of the wrapper is red. No matches. Get the usual wet wipe and the rear roll. And that is it for the accessory packet. So not all of these come with matches. No tortillas. Bredazell, I'm just going to guess at that pronunciation. Thanks for dropping in. So these shaker pouches are designed to be used as the mixing bag. So if I was out in the field and I did not have an additional container of water to mix in other than a container that I would use to boil in, or if I couldn't boil water, I could just put the water right in here, shake it up. I don't know how this would work in the flameless ration heater. I don't know if I've ever seen anyone try that, putting this with the liquid inside of the flameless ration heater bag. But because I'm at home and I'm doing this on camera, I'll just dump it into the mug. And that's what the powder looks like. Usually when I get a drink powder, I will mix it up before I take this into the kitchen because the sugar-heavy drink powders need more time to dissolve, where these sugar-free ones, the powder only goes up that high, so that will not take much time to dissolve. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this into the water first, and then I will bring back the kettle to mix the cappuccino, and then I will open everything else. So I will be right back. There's James Ortiz in the house. Thanks for dropping in. I just took the kettle back into the kitchen just to get it out of the way. Now put that back there. See how very little powder is in there. These are designed to accommodate a bottle this size, which is 16.9 ounces or 500 mils, half a liter. But this, sorry about that. I can only go up to about 13 ounces in my drinking jar, and I just don't choose to go with anything bigger. It gives a little bit more of a sense of the flavor of it. That's just my personal preference. I'm going to start opening up everything else. Jalapeno flavored cashews. You don't get very many cashews in here. But they do have a very strong spicy scent to them. I'm putting all of the trash into the MRE bag. This is apple cinnamon first strike bar. Unlike the other three flavors, it has a slightly different texture to it. And sometimes these things don't open very well. There are two different sizes of these bars. This is the full size. And then there's the mini, which is probably roughly maybe half of this at most. In fact, I will put this over here. Now this Zapple sauce is in another type of a drink pouch, and the idea is because this is a thinner, probably thinner, more like a lot of baby foods. But the idea is you rip this whole thing off and you would suck this right out of the pouch. So it was made this runny in order to be almost drinkable. You'll find these Zapple sauces in either the more packs, modular operational ration enhancement, or in the first strike rations, which right now is the only US 24-hour ration that I know of. Although this thing right here is part of my foam mount, so that's why it looks a little fuzzy, because it is very close to what the camera lens is picking up. Here's the Carlos Perry in the house. Thanks for dropping in. Good hiss off the crackers. Sometimes these things are so tightly packed that the cracker is literally sucked into the wrapping, or the wrapping is sucked into the cracker. And these are very, very prone to breakage. I'm kneading the peanut butter because over time the oil could separate from the solids. And if it's been a little chilly, you definitely want to do it. And you want to do this with cheese spreads. You can see the little bumps of the chopped peanuts. Now I'm going to go get the entree out of the pot and I'll be right back. I am back. I'm going to slide this over here. I just use this from my kitchen cookware set, which is basically a domed lid. I just use it as a way to carry my retort pouches from the kitchen. And I have a paper towel that I'm using to dry it off. Makes it easier to handle. And I just get this thing out of the way. The tear notch goes across this way. So I shake it down like this. If the tear notch went across this way, and I do have some retorts that are like that, then I would shake it down, do it like this. But when it's like this, I shake it down. That way when I go to pull this across, there's less chance of anything spurting out. And that's what it looks like. That's the pasta shape that they chose for this. Very soft as usual. It does taste like it's full of the taco seasoning. The beans are still pretty firm. But that veggie crumbles, it's so finely done that it almost gets lost in the sauce. I, I guess they probably figured since it's vegetarian, they got to do whatever they can to mask the flavor. It's textured vegetable protein, also known as TVP. Would have been nice to have a tortilla in here. You know, the tortillas. Why they chose the crackers, I don't know. The peanut butter would obviously be a means to get protein because you're not getting meat protein in here. But even, the cheese would have been nice. Nation MRE Finds is in the house. Thanks for dropping in. Just making sure I hadn't switched it over to live chat yet. And there's Mike in the house. Thanks for dropping in. And thanks for getting this one to me. I don't think I've had this particular version before. I have no idea how long this has been at menu 11 or what it replaced. There are people who look those up. So I threw some of the cracker in there. And I got the peanut butter, the crunchy peanut butter there. Yeah, French vanilla cappuccino. And this is the sugar-free raspberry drink. I just added a tiny bit more water to it after I mixed it. And now it's the way I like it. Yeah, these are the jalapeno cashews. Yeah, I still like spicy food, but I don't eat it a whole lot because I get some nasty heartburn sometimes. The seasoning has a slight hint of lime along with the jalapeno. And there's spicy tuna rolls in the house. Thanks for dropping in. Yeah, this would be a great filler to put inside of a tortilla. Add the crunchy peanut butter. The the bits are a lot smaller than you might typically find in a commercially jarred peanut butter. That way it's still easy to squeeze out of the packet. As long as you can still have some flavor. You got to do what you got to do. And most likely because your stomach is not able to produce enough stuff to deal with the acidity and spicy stuff. Maybe if you switch to white pepper instead of black pepper. That might be an option. It's just an idea. Don't know if that'll work or not, but yeah, one of my sisters is so bothered that she has transitioned herself into drinking decaf coffee. Black noodles, could they be the forbidden rice noodles? I have actually seen that before, not in a long time. Of course, I haven't been in an Asian store looking for anything like that. But I have seen the black rice noodles made from a black rice known as forbidden rice. That's a whole lot different than the wild rice that we know of here in U.S. and Canada. I'll try a bit of this with the cashew. I don't do those spicy chip challenge things because, for one thing, you're paying a whole lot of money for one single chip, and I just don't have that kind of money to burn. I'd rather spend what little money I get on something that will last me longer and actually be of more use. Chocolate, dark chocolate that has a tiny bit of spice to it, that works surprisingly well. I've had it. Someone gave it to me. I did not buy it. There is Tim in the house. Thanks for dropping in. Yeah, that's right. Tim has it right. Heat is fine, but you got to have the flavor. Otherwise, you're just calling the fire department. Yeah, surprisingly, the crackers held up their bare bones basic flavor as well. Of course, this is 2019, and since I got this from Mike, I know this is stored very well. I've only tasted commercially produced chili oils like you might find with Asian cuisine. They're made with the Asian chilies, so I don't know how that would compare to a chili oil that would be made with Mexican or southern Southwest U.S. or South American chilies. I don't know how that would work. Well, I wouldn't call it shame. You're just being practical. Yeah, some of us just can't do what we used to do. I used to be more into the really spicy stuff, but as I've gotten older, and I take heartburn medicines myself, have had to back off. Of course, last night we had a dinner at the mosque and there was some spicy food. I did eat some of it, but the way I do it is I put it on top of the rice, and then sometimes, you know, I dip the bread in it so that's toning down the heat, but I'm still getting the flavor of it. Yeah, either rice or, I told you about where I was with a group of people. We were having some spicy Indian food, and the guy sitting across the table from me bit into a whole chili that was covered in the sauce, so he did not see it coming until he bit into it. And I mean, this guy is about as dark skinned as you can get for a black person. And you could see the steam coming off of his forehead. It was that bad. And so then he took a drink of his water and said, "No, you got to eat some bread with it. That'll cut the heat." So then he did that, but then he actually laughed about it once he got his senses back. I mean, he knew it was funny after the fact. Yeah, he knew it was going to be spicy food. He was just not expecting to bite into a whole chili. Because the sauce was a yellow curry, about the color of this applesauce. So he just missed seeing it, but I mean, you do that and you have a good laugh about it, it can't be all bad. Ugh. No, my sister who does not even eat ketchup anymore. She doesn't eat tomatoes. So if she eats a salad, she doesn't eat the tomatoes. So she can't handle liquor burn anymore. So if she drinks alcohol, it's beer or wine or a cocktail where the liquor is diluted. Yeah, just doing it like this, just for the heck of it. Yeah, I think Smokey can tell you about that one, since he has tried several of those little bottles of moonshine that different people have sent him. Wow, that's got to be a real bugger to deal with that. Yeah, you don't want to get yourself into some serious trouble with anything like that. I'm glad I have not experienced that and I don't want to. Now, I was busy at the mosque, so by the time I got home, there it would have been way too late to even bother trying to look for anyone live. Yeah, that's an issue with notifications because I'm not getting notifications. I did not even see, of course, I didn't have time to really look to see if he even put up a post on his community tab that it wouldn't be going live. But then again, something might have come up which prevented him from even doing that. He's been dealing with other life issues. In fact, I found out this morning that I lost a very good friend who's attended the mosque as we knew it in its various locations since she first moved to Des Moines. And we had just seen her like a week or so, maybe a week earlier at Friday prayer, and then she wasn't there this past Friday. She had gone into the hospital, and then I get the call that she died late last night. But she had been up there in years. But she was, for many years, a pediatrician who specialized in dealing with abused children. She worked out of one of the local hospitals here. And then when she quit actively practicing medicine, she continued with speaking engagements, probably until maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, or maybe 5. She finally quit doing that. So a few people gotten together at the mosque, but today I've been going there for several hours a day for the past few days. I was just wiped. You know, my right knee can only handle so much. So I just told the lady who called that, I said, I'm wiped. I gotta just chill, but express to my condolences to her family. So they just got together for, they prayed together and maybe shared some dates, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, she had done a lot for our city over the many years that she's lived here. Yeah, she's a pediatrician who specialized in abused children. And as soon as she came over from Pakistan many years ago, because that's where she is originally from, she went and got the specialized education to go into pediatrics. And then as time went on, she went into even more of a specialty with abused children, because there were not very many pediatricians who were dealing specifically with abused children. And so she stepped up and did that for so many years. But she still practiced general pediatrics. And so she would take care of the children of many of our community members until they had gotten old enough, or she had backed off of her general practice. But she had done so much for the mosque as well. She used to buy all the stuff to make the drink that we serve when we break our fast during Ramadan. In fact, we made it last night. Someone else brought me the stuff and then I mixed it up. It's the mango pulp, ice cream, and milk. Now, we commonly call mango lassi, but true lassi is made with yogurt and mango. I have not tried that, but I think that will be an experiment one of these days. But I would have to find out which type of yogurt, but we have always gone with the recipe that Rizwan Shah had taught me, because I took over making it from her. Then she just paid for the ice cream, the milk, and the mango pulp in advance, and even the little cups that we would serve it in. So she would just take the money to Hillel Groceries, and then someone from there would just use some of that every week to go pick up a few buckets of ice cream and a few gallons of milk, and then deliver the 60 cans of the mango pulp to the mosque. Of course, this last Ramadan, sometimes we are doing double. I would call it a quadruple batch, because or maybe a double batch for us, because the 5-gallon or the 5-quart ice cream buckets that we get from Costco or Sam's Club, then 2 28-ounce cans of the mango pulp, and then 2 gallons of ice cream is a standard mix. But the guy who brought me the ice cream and the milk and the mango pulp, he brought in 3 gallons of ice, 3 gallons of milk, so we just added in to dilute it down a little bit. But yeah, we just had that last night for a little treat. She also liked to sew clothes for people or repair them. And she handmade a Pakistani flag that we used as a display item for our open house earlier last month. Of course, speaking of Ramadan, we're already doing some things to get ready for the next Ramadan, which will be coming at the beginning of March instead of in the middle. So we got in a new fridge, a new freezer commercial, a bigger capacity fridge, a bigger capacity freezer. But I'll tell you, they are watt hogs because every time the compressors run, the lights dim. And the old chest freezer we had, we gave that to one of our community members because it still worked. It just really didn't work for us. You're welcome back, Mike. For one thing, it was too deep for really short people to get down at something way on the bottom. And it just didn't have the capacity. And the upright freezer actually accommodates bigger containers or bigger items. Like we got a bunch of, you go to a restaurant and you see these tubs that the servers will put the dirty dishes in. They're called bussing tubs. Now we got several of those, and we're actually going to use those to put different items in because the shelves are wire shelves. We do not have the indoor storage in the fridge. In fact, we have one that the spices have been moved to, and the cabinet that's in the kitchen we're going to experiment with trying to put other things in there. And we had our sink replaced with a double sink instead of the triple we had. But I like that the fact that new faucet has a sprayer but it's inconvenient because you have to hold the sprayer trigger in order to keep the water running. Whereas in other commercial sinks that may have a sprayer, and like your home faucet sprayers, you have a diverter switch or button that you can use to divert the water from the faucet to the spray head. Whereas this one, you can't do that. But it definitely makes for cleaning easier. And I tell you, the guy who did that had his own issues of trying to find certain parts, and he bought a pipe glue that was already dried when you went to open it for the first time. A new container of pipe glue, and it was already dried out. So I don't know how long we're going to keep that current thing, or if we're going to end up switching it out again. But at least the sink is usable. Yeah, the two halves of the sink are not as big as the old sink sections were. So we can't put a large pot actually in it to wash it. But because we have that spray head on there, it can still be a lot easier to wash things, other than the fact that you have to hold the spray trigger in order to keep the water running. Mike, maybe you have to dedicate a separate circuit to it. Yeah, it eats up more watts. So I don't know if that room would have to have its own little AC unit in there. Maybe aim it at the freeze dryer. Or aim a fan at it or something. Yeah, because a house of worship is considered a nonprofit and you're not really selling anything. I mean, yeah, you can say you donate, but most of our meals, not even asking for a donation unless we specifically have a fundraiser meal, and then the tickets are sold in advance. then that gives us more of an idea of how much food to prepare. But yeah, I worked in a small restaurant that I told you about before. It used to be a Greek restaurant. I like having that triple sink, except for when the drains would easily get clogged up, and I couldn't do anything about it. Short of just letting it run its course, or the manager would have to get a plumber in to deal with it at a time when the restaurant is closed, or just have to bail out the clogged sink into one of the other ones that does drain. And a couple of youth camp kitchens that I've been in have the 3 sinks. And I've been in a few churches for events where they have a much larger kitchen. They have the triple sinks, and I liked having a triple sink, so it's just that the one that we're currently using, we tried to adapt a faucet with a sprayer, but we just could not find the right combination to work. But the sink that we did get, the guy retained the lever drain closure, where you take a lever and then you turn it left to close the drain so water wouldn't run out, and you turn it to the right to open it again. So instead of having a stopper that you put over the drain hole, you just use a lever like a stove damper. Basically works like that, but he added that to the new sink to the right side. But thanks for dropping in, Mike. Well, it may not just be a city thing. It could be state, or it even could be federal. I just don't know, but I was really hoping that we could just get a new faucet with a sprayer and still keep the triple sink, but and we'll have to see what happens. But until we figure out something, we're just gonna go with it and make the best of it until the board decides where to go next. I mean, we're trying something, and it's just not working. I got some peanut butter, tiny bit of peanut butter in the First Strike bar. That is what the apple cinnamon First Strike bar looks like on the inside. May not want to focus, but the texture is more, it's closer to that of a cereal bar than the other First Strike bars. Now, thanks for dropping in, Tim. Yeah. Tim lives here in Iowa also, so he knows a lot of the stuff that goes on around here, probably more than I do. Yeah, considering his experiences and all that. I'm just squeezing the rest of this out onto here. Here's a multi-magnum in the house. Thanks for dropping in. Mike and Tim just left. And my entree left the tray a little while ago. But the vegetarian taco pasta, that was okay. The pasta was very soft, but at least it still held its shape. Some of the TVP bits got lost in the sauce. You could only tell the presence of the bigger pieces. And that's regular, the Zapple sauce, not the cinnamon one. And the jalapeno cashews, they have a slight hint of lime to them, which I think is a nice touch. It came with this chili lime hot sauce, which I did not use. And it's chunky peanut butter. Or more like, I wouldn't call it chunky, I'd call it more like crunchy. Got French vanilla cappuccino in the mug. And this is the Raspberry Type 3, the sugar-free stuff. Yep, for an MRE, it's not bad. I personally like the Irish cream cappuccino better. But yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, I'd be happy to drink that any day. Before I opened the bag up, I was kind of hoping that there would be tortillas in there. I was kind of hoping there would be cheese, but crackers and crunchy peanut butter. But the jalapeno cashews are actually not too bad. I even put a couple of them into the taco pasta. The sauce cuts through the lime flavor, so I lose that. And next week, I'm going to get into one of those RCIRs that I got. One of them is marked without pork, and the other one is actually marked halal. The one that's labeled without pork, that ink is actually the same color as the rest of the ink on the box, whereas the one that's marked halal has a green stamp on it instead of being printed onto the box with the rest of the text. So I don't know if the company that does the French rations have transitioned all of them over to that new box style, or if it's just the ones that are halal certified that get the green stamp. Because the ones that were just stamped without pork, they used to be stamped with the green stamp as well, and it was always at an angle, like a 45-degree angle from the orientation of the rest of the text on the box. He did ask how you're doing. That's all that I have seen so far. But occasionally my chat would freeze up, and that's happened not only during my own stream, but when I'm in another stream chat or a premiere chat. Sometimes my screen would completely freeze up. And I wonder if I'm going to get completely booted off, which has happened a few times. Or I would have to refresh the browser. I think the last time that happened, I got so lagged that by the time I was able to refresh, that particular stream had already ended. We also happen to be having some solar wind impact or a CME impact, which has a habit of messing with connections. DeCarlos has been posting some stuff on his Facebook about different things that he's been seeing or watching or something like that. I hope you didn't do too much damage. Maybe have an ice pack handy in case you might need to use that. And I got enough issues as it is with no cartilage in my right knee, so it's bone on bone. Yeah, heat can help too. It just depends on the injury whether you want to use heat or cold or do both, like one after another. But speaking of ice packs, I picked up I picked up a box of those cold pads that work like they're kind of like the Thermacare or the Icy Hot, but it's nothing but cold instead of the heat. I was looking to get a new ice pack to, or the single-use cold pack, because the one in my mosque first aid kit had been used. So I was looking to replace it, but I couldn't find any of those. But I found this box of the cold patches. So I figured, well, you take them out of the box, they're very slim, so you can get 5 uses in half of the space of one. So I put those in the mosque first aid kit when I restocked it with some other supplies, because I had noticed that, I'm going to check it, see what had been used, what needs to be replaced. So I threw in some new gloves, I put in some new bandages and gauze, and another roll on some different kinds of antiseptic wipes. And I put all 5 of those cold patches on there. Yep. I figured since I'm the one who originally donated that first aid kit, I will take responsibility for restocking it. So it's just something that I choose to do. No one asked me to do it. I just did it. And speaking of first aid, one of our members is going to try to arrange for a CPR class. Now, thanks for dropping in, Cliff. Hope to see you another time. So now I was talking about it last night. Said I hadn't been certified for CPR since 2010, so at that time I was hoping to get a job in a hospital, and at every level of medical training, I think it's a federal law, you have to be CPR certified. And it's just good for anybody to be CPR certified, whether you work in healthcare or as a first responder or not, because you never know. Like one of the medic channels that I follow, Skinny Medic, he always says, you never know when you will be the first responder. And so I try to live by that. But I just haven't had a chance to get recertified for CPR. So if we can pull this off, either later this month or maybe November, I'm not sure when, I will definitely be doing that. And I would like to get some additional training. I just have to find out where I can go that either I don't have to pay for it or I don't have to pay much. Yeah. And even if you're encouraged to do the compression only, it's still a good idea to know how to do the rescue breathing, because you never know when that may be needed. And now that we have one less experienced medical professional in our community, since a retired pediatrician died late last night, it's up to others to step up and fill in that role. Yeah, she was well respected in the city because not only was she a pediatrician, she specialized in abused children, in addition to doing general pediatrics. At the time she started doing that, there are very few pediatricians who were either trained or taught to deal with abused children, or who wanted to do it. And she wanted to do it. And even after she retired from active practice, she still kept on the lecture circuit, going to different states and to DC to speak at conventions or other events where related topics were up for discussion. So she probably did that until maybe like 5 years ago, something like that. Yeah, she was an awesome member of the community. She supported the mosque in various ways with supplies and money donations, and she was, and some of her delicious food that she used to make. And it was from her I learned how to make the drink we call mango lassi. And so we made it last night. Unfortunately, she was in the hospital until she died, and I got the call this morning that she had passed. I've been so busy doing a lot of work at the mosque that today I was just wiped. And yesterday was crazy because, well, we didn't know when some of the food was going to come, and we were having to deal with the new sink that had just got made working, although it has its issues, but at least we could use it. Now we can concentrate on the next phase of repairs and other projects that we'll fundraise for. But it's a reminder to all of us that one day we will have to meet our Maker. Until then, we just do what we can with what we got. Nope. We will just cherish the memories and keep going forward. Something tells me yeah, that would already have a sales tax on it. Yeah, you think they would. I mean, I buy BBs, I pay a tax on that. You know, I pay sales tax. Yeah, there have even been some Democrats in California who do not like what the governor has done lately or tried to do or wants to do. Yeah, ours is 7.5%, our sales tax here. But our governor wants to eventually eliminate the state income tax and cut corporate taxes. Some of the taxes just don't make sense. Yeah, yeah, things are getting really, really weird. And our current mayor is not running for reelection. So there are, I think, 3 or 4 candidates that I know of who are running to take his place. And one of them came to our mosque open house last month. And then a representative from another campaign came, but the candidate herself did not come. So that's 2 that I know of. I don't know who the others are that are running, but I've heard that they're like 3 or 4. But our current mayor has been in an office for, I think this is his 4th term. So we'll just have to wait and see who gets in and what that person is going to do. Plus, we have to have a special election to fill a city council seat vacated by someone who got elected but hardly ever showed up for meetings or did. Oops, sorry about that brief disconnect. So I was saying she hardly ever showed up for meetings, no communication, didn't do much of the side work that a city council member is expected to do, like be on a certain committee or fulfill other duties outside of the biweekly meetings. So it was finally a relative who actually handed in the resignation, but no explanation as to what was going on. So the people in her ward are very, very upset. In fact, the whole city's upset. I don't live in that ward or section of the city, but, you know, I'm not happy about that. But that open seat will be filled during the election next month. So the light changes when I'm moving my hand, which is a lot lighter in color than the tray. It's just the way this camera on this phone does that. It changes the light level, and I can't do anything about that. Oh well, it is what it is. It doesn't do it as much when I have my Tupperware tray here, but because I got the green one, it'll do that when something of a lighter color moves over it. See, I have a light to my left, so that way. And plus I have the light over my head to my right from my ceiling fan. And of course, I can change the brightness of the light to the left. I just have it set at its current brightness. Just, it may be different each time. It's a stepless dimming where I just hold the button down and it gets brighter and gets dimmer until I let off of it. But yeah, I like having this light from both sides. Sometimes I might use it when I'm doing one of my mail call videos. Yeah, here in Iowa, we got it pretty good. For the most part. Although there have been some things where, the same party controls both houses of the legislature plus the governor's office. But sometimes they can be just as inept as those in D.C. And then they come back for a special session and still something doesn't get done right. But, I could get certain things if I wanted to. They're just out of my budget. So I just don't bother with it. Plus, I don't have access to a certain facility where I could practice with such things. Someone would have to drive me to such a place where I can try some different models. But because the way my vision is, I would probably do what I did the last time I did such a thing, is I put a lot of them down on the ground. But at least here, I can do that. Whereas certain other places, it probably wouldn't even be legal to do that at all, to go to a certain facility. And frankly, California, no. I have no idea I have no desire to go there. I have no desire to go to Florida. I'm going to stay right here in Iowa. Well, I might go to Arkansas. I'd love to go back down there. Although my brother is up here, he still owns land down in Arkansas. But he had a hard time getting work down there, and with no vehicle to drive since an accident he had, he hasn't bothered with trying to either renew his Arkansas driver's license. And for now, I think until he makes up his mind whether he wants to try to get an Iowa driver's license, if he's going to continue to spend time up here, or if he's just going to stick to riding buses. Because that's how he's getting to a job that he has now, is he rides a bus. And his boss understands that he travels by bus, and his schedule has to be adjusted accordingly, or someone else will have to give him a ride home. He's working in an auto parts store, and because he has done mechanic work in the past, he literally built 2 motorcycles from boxes of Harley parts, which he eventually sold and got a good chunk of change for each one. And when he was working at an auto detailer place down there, when they wanted to try out a new paint, my brother would test it on a motorcycle part, like a gas tank or a side pipe or something like that, or maybe the bike frame. He would try that finish on, and then he would take his observations back to the shop and maybe show him pictures or however he did it. So he has that experience, plus he's done drywall and landscaping work, so he's got a good range of skills. But having been in that mechanic line of work, he's able to do some things for customers, give them better advice, just to make sure that they get the right parts for whatever they need to do. And he's the one who bought me my new microwave that I got last month. after my last one crapped out. Turns out a wire had come loose and was sticking out the back of that old microwave. But I had originally gotten that one from the mosque when they upgraded to a newer model. So I've had that one probably since shortly after I moved in here. So in November of 2016 is when I got that microwave. And we had it at the mosque probably like 4 or 5 years, maybe more before that. Yeah, so my brother bought me that. That's okay. I'm probably going to be calling this one pretty soon anyway. I sure hope that your knee isn't giving you too much grief. Yeah, and you can get some sleep tonight. I do want to thank you all for hanging out with me tonight for first stream in October. I don't have any trips planned for this month at all. I don't know if I will go anywhere in November. I'm sure I'll find out soon enough. But it was nice to see some people I hadn't seen in here for a while and a new face. Again, I do this every Sunday, 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern. 6 Mountain, 5 p.m. Left Coast. Probably a 4 p.m. Alaska time, I think. So anyway, thanks for watching, and next week I will bust into an RCIR, and we'll check out one of those, see what it's all about. Anyway, thanks for watching, and catch you on the flip side.